Thank you, Richie, for the welcome to country. We are privileged indeed to be on Ngunnawal country, and I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past and present, and to your mum. Minister Carter, the Assistant Minister for Health, Mr Kieran Perkins, CEO of Australian Sports Commission, Lucinda Barry, CEO, Organ and Tissue Authority, transplant recipients, living donors, donors' families, friends and supporters. And I have to say, from here, it's a very pretty view. You all look fantastic, and I feel very privileged to have this view. I feel very privileged to be attending my first Australian Transplant Games as Chair of Transplant Australia, a great organisation. And like my fellow board members, like our state committees, like our staff, and like all of you, I'm very passionate about the role of transplantation in saving lives. And I'm passionate about the difference that donors make. They are true heroes, in my estimation. And here today, in the midst of this beautiful celebration of spring, I hope you brought your Zyrtec, this is the proof. All of you are the proof of the difference that donation makes. From our youngest competitor, I hope I get this name right, Ari Ladd from New South Wales. I don't know where Ari is. Yay, Ari, yay. To our eldest, Esther Scott from WA, Western Australia, yay. Also a liver recipient, and everyone in between, including Nigel here on stage. Yay, Nigel. Yes, stand up, Nigel. An incredible 50 years next month with your kidney transplant, which is fantastic. Well done. Each of you are the reason of the importance of a donation. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to the success of these games. And I know there's a lot of effort. I was overwhelmed yesterday with all the folks that I met and everything that they've done. Our staff, our team managers, our sports coordinators, volunteers, and of course, everybody out there, which is you. These games have continued to demonstrate the importance for more than 30 years. 30 years of wonderful media stories, inspiring important conversations, families celebrating their loved one's second chance, of other families remembering their loss with pride, and of living donors quietly proud of helping a loved one or a friend beat, for example, dialysis. And even others taking to the road, like the gift of Life Guardians. They got me yesterday. Thanks, guys. We could not be prouder. For many of those years, the federal government, through the Organ and Tissue Authority, has been an important partner and sponsor of these games. The destinations of the Authority and Transplant Australia are intertwined. We are both committed to improving access to life-saving transplantation, and we know how important it is to instill confidence in the public's mind about donation, and that is our continued commitment. We undertake this not only because it is the right thing to do, and it's what our members want, but because building confidence gives the next generation of recipients, those 1,800 plus Australians awaiting a transplant, the very best chance of receiving that all-important call. We know there is a lot more to do. Minister Carney, no pressure here, but we look forward to your support for our program to help people along their entire transplant journey. We know it's not an easy road, and we look positively to working with the authority for improving Australia's consent rate. Our campaign message for these games is to give the gift of tomorrow by registering as a donor today. We want more people in Australia to receive a transplant and start planning their tomorrow, their future, fulfilling their dreams and making the most of their life. So thank you very much for the privilege of being able to be here with you today and to speak with you.
Thanks, Katrina, and you're so right. So much effort has gone into not just today, what's happening right now, but the Australian Transplant Games across the board, you know, welcoming people from all over the country and beyond. Just the logistics of gathering everybody and organising the games, which take place over a number of days, is a lot of effort, and we're so grateful to everyone who's played a role in that. Now, Transplant Australia is proud to work with the federal government and the Organ and Tissue Authority. Now, in a sec, we'd like to welcome to the stage the Assistant Minister for Health, the Honourable Jed Carney, who has a strong background in nursing and is very committed to improving donation rates and helping to ensure Australia has a world-class donation and transplantation system. Welcome, the Honourable Jed Carney.
Well, good morning, everybody. Before I begin, I too would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're gathered, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples. Thank Richie for his beautiful welcome. It was really lovely and warm. And thank them for their custodianships of these beautiful trees, the waterways and these gorgeous lands that we are on today. I extend that respect to all First Nations people with us. I also acknowledge Professor Katrina Coventry, Chair of Transplant Australia, the amazing Chris Thomas, who I think knows each and every single one of you personally by name, I'm sure of it. Lucinda Barry, CEO of the Organ Tissue Authority. The amazing Kieran Perkins. I was a bit starstruck when I met Kieran before. He is, of course, very importantly, the CEO of Australian Sports Commission, but what an amazing inspiration for all of these incredible athletes here today. Kieran, thank you for being here. It's really special. Thank you. Stop fangirling now. Welcome everybody to the opening ceremony of the 17th Australian Transplant Games. It was such a wonderful thing to see you all parading through these gorgeous gardens here this morning. I recall a similar parade in Perth last year as the athletes made their way into Optus Stadium there for the World Transplant Games. It was absolutely wonderful. I got to do something there that I've always wanted to do. I got to say, let the games begin. Did you always want to say that? And I got to say it. Look, how lucky was I? But today is just as important here in our beautiful nation's capital. Really a magical moment watching you all march in. What a year it's been for sport, though. We've had the Olympics and the Paralympics, and how well did Australia do in the Olympics? We're still on a bit of a high, I think, from that. And so how fabulous that you're here today to carry on that feeling of high that we got from the Olympics and the Paralympics. Because these are moments of great personal achievements, and you are all absolutely wonderful for coming along and continuing the great Aussie tradition of being sporting heroes, and for us admiring and looking up to our sporting heroes. You are all stories of triumph over adversity, of gratitude from the athletes to the organ donors. Whilst for living donors, of course, this is usually a family or a friend, and thank you to all our living donors out there today. But also, thank you, big clap to you all. But also, organ donation, we usually are very thankful to a complete stranger who gave the ultimate gift, the gift of life. And what a wonderful gift that is. We're going to have during the games, I'm sure, moments of quiet reflection by and for the families and friends whose loved ones were donors. You heard, and I'm very proud, that the Albanese Labor government, through the Organ and Tissue Authority's Donate Life National Program, is a major sponsor of the Games. And we are very proud to continue to be a sponsor of the Games. Now there'll be, I understand, 20 sports in all, culminating in the Donate Life Fun Run on Saturday. At the recent Games Parliamentary Breakfast here in Canberra, up at the Big House on the Hill, we had a little event there, and I was absolutely privileged to meet 3 of the amazing athletes who will be competing this week. There was Mick, 63, of New South Wales, who received a double lung transplant 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Amazing. Incredible. Now, Mick was born with cystic fibrosis, but has a long history with the Games. He's going to be competing in lawn bowls. and 10-pin bowling. Good luck, Mick. And we had 9-year-old Ariana, who I was happy to meet as well, from the ACT. Give Ariana a big clap. She came up to the house to meet us all. Now, Ariana received a life-saving bone marrow transplant from her 4-year-old brother back in 2021. And this is her first Games, Australian Transplant Games, and she'll be competing in athletics, cycling, swimming and Scrabble, or as she called it, scramble. And I think that's... I thought there should be an event just for politicians called Scramble, because we do a lot of scrambling, I can tell you. There was John. I met John, who was 54 years old from the ACT, who received a life-saving heart and kidney transplant in January this year. Now, he's not competing, but he is volunteering his services to the Games, which is great. All truly inspiring stories. All of you are absolutely inspiring, because you know these games, it brings you all together to share the experiences, and more than that too, they are an opportunity for us to showcase the importance of organ and tissue donation and the importance of transplantation to Australia and Australians. 4 in 5 Australians support organ donation, but only 36% of Australians are registered to donor. It's a sad fact that just over a third of Australians, 7 million of us, are registered as organ and tissue donors. And I agree with Patricia, we have to get those numbers up. If everyone who actually supported organ donation was registered, then that number would be closer to 16 million, well over twice what it is now. So very few people, as you would know, can actually become organ donors. Only around 2% of people who pass away in hospital can be considered for organ donation. Since 2009, over 18,000 people have received life-saving organ transplants and given the ultimate gift by over 6,400 organ donors. So we need to increase the rate of organ and tissue donation in Australia. We need to improve the community's understanding of donation and the life-changing benefits of receiving a transplant. Now, you heard that I used to be a nurse. I was a nurse for 20 years. I worked at the Austin Hospital in Melbourne, and I actually had the great privilege of working on the liver transplant unit there with Professor Jones. And I saw firsthand, absolutely, I guess, that significant moment when we know that a donor has been found for the patients that we are caring for on the ward. It is very special. And I just wish that every single person that needed an organ donation had that moment. But sadly, because we need to increase donations, it's just not the case. But these games are a celebration. They're a celebration of life, they're a celebration of you, they're a celebration of achievement, they're a celebration of a community that is fiercely competitive, I know, but of a community that has grown through these. And I congratulate Chris and all the team at Transplant Australia for the hard work they do in bringing this together. And I also acknowledge that we need to give transplant recipients the best support, education and guidance to improve their health and quality of life. I hear you, Trina. The Games are a great way of doing this. The donation and transplantation journey can be a long one. There are highs and there are lows. There's waiting and there's disappointments, there's tragedy, there's trauma, but there is also triumph. Donors and their families give the ultimate gift, a second chance at life, and living donors freely give some of themselves to someone else. Transplant recipients too have their own difficult journey, facing their health battles. Some of them face imminent death without the help of a donor. In Australia, families are always asked to agree to donation in the hospital. Families, we know, are much more likely to agree when their family member was a registered organ and tissue donor and when they spoke about their desire to be a donor. So it's essential that people register and talk to their family. So I'm going to leave you now with a call to action to all eligible Australians aged 16 and over. I know everyone here, I'm preaching to the converted here, But you've all got to go out, you've got to talk it up, you've got to talk about your experience. We need to increase organ donor registration in the country. It's so easy to do it at donatelife.gov.au. 3 taps on your Express Plus Medicare app and tell your family. Easy. You'll be giving the most precious gift of all gifts, the gift of life. So thanks everybody. Get out there and talk it up and have fun. I'll let the games begin.
Thanks so much, Minister. I'm glad you were able to say, let the games begin. Very happy about that. Some very important messages there, and like the Minister said, it's important for you all to go out and have those talks with people, because even if it's just one extra person, you know, we need as many people as possible to register, and it's so easy. And Minister, you spoke about fangirling over our next guest. Well, I'm sure you're not going to be the only one. We're joined today by sporting royalty Kieran Perkins, OAM gold medal Olympian. Asked what happens to our Olympians beyond their sporting success. Well, Kieran is now leading and inspiring sport in Australia as the CEO of the Australian Sports Commission. But for Kieran, it's no longer just about high performance, but ensuring everyone has a place in sport. Please welcome Kieran Perkins.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'd just like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, and thank you, Richie, very much for your welcome this morning. Pay my respects to elders past and present, and also would like to acknowledge the significant and historical impact that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have had to society and sport in our country, and to celebrate the power that sport has to promote reconciliation and reduce inequality. Thank you all very much, firstly, for that introduction. That's actually probably the nicest introduction I've had in a really long time. I need to get out and about a bit more outside my normal circles, obviously. So I do appreciate that. To the Honourable Jed Carney, Assistant Minister for Health and Aged Care, Professor Katrina Coventry, and CEO Chris Thomas, and Lucinda Barry, thank you all very much for being here and having me today, and for coming together in what is an extraordinary and powerful event. But the biggest welcome, of course, and the most important one, goes to all the athletes, their families, volunteers, and everybody who's here that absolutely makes this event possible and makes this event what it is. I'm incredibly proud, and I know that the Australian Institute of Sport is incredibly proud to have the opportunity to have you all involved on our side with some of the events happening out there at Bruce. It is wonderful to be able to play such a small part in supporting you and the incredible opportunity that you've got over the coming days. And we can never overstate just how much your sporting pursuits and the impact that you have by just being here and doing what you're doing has on all Australians. By bringing recognition to the importance of registering as a donor, the power and impact that being a donor has, but also, and from our side, promoting and recognising the power that sport has to bring people together to create such wonderful health, mental and community benefits is really quite extraordinary. So thank you for that. Make sure you wear your uniforms out and about in Canberra, be loud and proud, tell everybody what you're doing, why you're here, and the extraordinary feats that you're involved in, and recognise that everybody is so amazingly proud of what you're doing and in awe of the impact that you're having. So don't be afraid to brag. I can assure you our Olympians and Paralympians have come back from Paris bragging. Get in on that train and make sure you also are a part of that opportunity to celebrate your success and the impact. And I hope that when you do that, it inspires more people to register, and we can get the message out there. I'm also in awe of the opportunity to be here this morning, because as you might have imagined in my life, I've been to one or two opening ceremonies. I've had the opportunity to see people come together to celebrate in anticipation of what's coming for them, and this is certainly a wonderful place to do it. It's a wonderful group of people, and the smiles that I'm seeing, the engagement and the friendships and the way that you're sharing this is extraordinary. It is the best of what ceremonies are about. It is the best of what events like this are about. So I wish you all the best of luck. Have a wonderful time, and most importantly to everybody that's out there on the field of play having a go, make sure you have lots and lots of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kieran. Now we are heading to a very special moment in the proceedings this morning. Now it's my pleasure to introduce singer-songwriter Rose Parker. Now, thanks so much, Nigel and Kate. I would now like to welcome Liz Murphy to read the volunteer oath.
I promise to give of the time in my life so that Transplant Games athletes can have the time of their lives. I promise to support the Transplant Games, not just as an expression of charity, but as a form of respect for my fellow human beings. I promise to spread the word of volunteerism because in giving, I receive so much more in return.
Thanks so much, Liz, and thank you everyone for being here today. It's been my absolute pleasure to share this inspiring ceremony with you this morning. And now to wrap up proceedings, someone whose name has been mentioned just a few times this morning, who's played just a little bit of a role in the Australian Transplant Games. Now, he has overseen 8 Australian Transplant Games and spent 8 years as president of the World Transplant Games Federation. Please welcome Chris Thomas, CEO of Transplant Australia.
I'm going to be different and come over here. We had 2 lecterns set up so Renee would have her very own lectern, but that's okay. Isn't it a wonderful day here? As Gordon Ruddy would say, how are we all doing? It's so fantastic just to see everyone. Renee, before we go on, wonderful role as MC today. So thank you very much. Everybody, round of applause for Renee. And I just got to say, Rose Parker, you bring tears to everyone's eyes. That's such an inspirational song, such an inspirational story. I know that Tim's looking down going, wow, yeah, he didn't get forgotten, did he? That is just so wonderful. And can I just say, everybody, next time there's something emotional happening, don't sit next to Kate Ray. She is just beautiful. But yeah, it's so wonderful to be with you, Kate. Kate's done just such a marvellous job as one of the locals to bring these Australian Transplant Games to life. And I know we've said it 100 times, but Nigel, 50 years, how fantastic is that? And we've got Heather out there at 45 years, we've got Mick at 30 years, and collectively there are more than 2,500 years of life and counting amongst all of the transplant recipients here. It is just such a wonderful, wonderful cause, and I'm just so privileged to be in this role. And I just, thank you all. I thank our board, Katrina. I thank you very much for the opportunity to continue as CEO of Transplant Australia, and for you coming on and taking on the chairmanship. That is just really wonderful as well. So look, here we are back in Canberra again. How fantastic is this? 14 years later, once again celebrating everything that is good about organ transplantation and organ and tissue donation. Look, I'm really proud to be part of the team that has delivered these Transplant Games. It hasn't been an easy road bringing these games together, but we do it because our community deserves to celebrate their renewed life. Our donor families and living donors deserve to remember and be proud of their role in creating this renewed life. And is there any better place than Floriade, with its millions of blooms, the symbol of spring and organ donation all pulled together? And look, I know that this is a celebration today, and a wonderful celebration it is. But over the week, can we all please spare a thought for our friends who were here in Canberra 14 years ago, but have been lost along the way. Please keep those people in your hearts. I'd like to thank Minister Carney and the Albanese government for its support not only of Transplant Australia, but the overall cause of organ and tissue donation. We are making some great inroads in Australia. We're back on track, and it is so pleasing to have the government from the top down supporting the cause of organ and tissue donation. Thank you, Minister. I'd like to thank Lucinda Barry. Lucinda, where are you? You're out there? Hello, Lucinda. Thank you, Lucinda. Lucinda's the CEO of the Organ and Tissue Authority, and I'd like to thank her for her continued support. Back in 2018, Lucinda was new in her role, but took time out to bring her daughters up to the Gold Coast for the Australian Transplant Games, and she clearly liked what she saw, and we look forward to continuing to work together. Thank you, Lucinda. I've got to point out that this is the first Australian Transplant Games in my memory, and that goes back 8 games now, that the CEO of the Australian Sports Commission has taken such a strong interest in these games. Kieran, it's easy to pen a new line for sport. Everyone has a place in sport. That's the new line of the Australian Sports Commission. But then you need to live and breathe that line, that mantra. And your presence here today demonstrates that commitment. You are doing amazing things leading sport in Australia, and it's excellent to see it in good hands. Thank you, Kieran. I mentioned you already, Rose, but I'll come back. Rose Parker, my goodness, you are a marvel. To be able to take the essence, the goodness of donation, and to put those thoughts to music and a great tune just shows what a talent you are. And the fact that it comes from the heart means it's just all that much more special. So thank you very much, Rose. That's just superb. To all the volunteers, you look superb in your lime green outfits. When we got them out of the box, we thought, ooh, these are bright. But you look fantastic. So to all of the volunteers who are helping us throughout the games, just a round of applause for all the volunteers. Thank you, Liz, on behalf of all the volunteers. Now we have one final little special thing to do, and that is that, this is the reason why I came over here, because I wanted to see our guests, and that is that we're going to ask Johnny Dixon, Alfie Roweth, Emily Dawson, and I think Ariana Ford has joined us as well. Is that, yes, she has. And to be overseen by the wonderful Luca Angel Cairns. Hello, Luca Angel. Now, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to ask Kieran, Minister Carney, Katrina and Rose to stand here, please. And we're going to award you an honorary gold medal from the Australian Transplant Games. Kieran, I know that you've probably had, how big's the trophy cabinet, Kieran? I know you've probably had a few gold medals, but I'd like to ask these kids to come and present. And where's our photographer? John, you're going to go over to that position. I'm going to get down to the detail now. John, you're going to go over there. Thank you. Lily, you're more than welcome to come up. Come right up close, Lily. We're going to make sure that we capture this. Luca Angel, I just have to mention, you can't wave, can you? No, she can't wave. Luca Angel has received a heart transplant, and she was at the close